Mega Man X3. Oh boy, this video is going to upset some people. I think Mega Man X3 is a bad Mega Man X game. While I had the collection on the PS2, I stuck to X1, 4, 5, and tragically X6. And yet, while I had a decent time trying to play X2 before I dropped it, X3 could never hold my attention. And as I discovered through this playthrough, there's a good reason for that. So join me, dear viewer, and let's acquire all the X3 achievements on the Legacy Collection, and discover why X3 is one of the X games of all time. X3 starts when we get a nice shot of the 16-bit city. Hope you like it, because it's like one of 4 visuals in this intro. We learn despite X and Zero's efforts, Mavericks continue to appear. Luckily, a scientist named Dr. Doppler identifies why, discovers a virus which he dubs the Sigma virus, forces Reploids to turn Maverick. Didn't we already know that from the end of X2? Doppler then creates a supercomputer which is able to suppress the Sigma virus, and things turn peaceful. During this era of peace, Doppeltown, yes, that is the name they went with, is constructed in Doppler's honor. Man, I sure hope nothing goes wrong and Doppler isn't evil. Oh no. With that, X and Zero head out to stop Doppler's evil plans. And that's all the setup we get for X3. If this sounds familiar, that's because it is. This is basically the plot of X1, but with an evil scientist instead of Sigma, and I'm going to be completely guy who spent all his money on gacha games with you. It's not great. Story is an emphasis in the X series, and while the first 2 weren't amazing, they at least had some very good moments. X3, however, doesn't really have any of those. Hell, the X series as a whole struggles with good storytelling, but I think that's far more of an issue in the PS1 and PS2 series of games, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start our intro stage. Maverick Hunter HQ is under attack and our boys X and Zero are on the scene. Man, it feels really nice to see them in action together. But after that, Zero just leaves to deal with everything on the outside. Thanks for dropping all the work on me, man. This opening stage is something. Well, X1 is universally praised, and I think X2 is also quite good. I find X3's just forgettable. We go through about 3 corridors of very limited platform before we find this guy. Mac! Where's the cheese, buddy? I don't think he liked that. Turns out he's evil. Oh my god, who could have seen this coming? I hope this doesn't keep fucking happening to the Maverick Hunters. But with that, he hauls X off. And this is where we finally get to play our fucking boy Zero. And he does not control how I expected him to. Zero in this game is effectively a powered up version of X, which is astronomically disappointing, but I'm also from the future and know what our boy in red could eventually do, so that's not really fair. What I am going to complain about is the fact that Zero has 3 levels of charge shot and it takes forever to charge it, and it doesn't even feel that good to use. It fires off 2 charge shots, and similarly to X2's arm parts, you can store the second shot for later. But now there's a third part to this where Zero swings his Z-Saber, his Beam Saber as it's known in this game. This attack is devastating, as Mac finds out when we rescue X. Except not really, because I'm very bad and get stunned every time I tried to use it. Sorry, Zero. But at least your health is a good indicator of how boss fights in this game are going to go. With X rescue, we take control of him once more and fight the opening boss, Mao the Giant. That's a much better name than the last opening boss, but unfortunately he's not great. He's just a static PNG in the background you shoot the head of, and the spike balls he attacks you with, well, I do like the idea of them affecting the area you're fighting in. They're so slow it doesn't really mean anything. Oh, and they do a pitiful 1 damage. An amount of damage which is extremely deceptive for bosses in X3, but we blow him up, Zero comes in saying all the Mavericks have been cleaned out and to call for him if we need help, which he actually does mean, by the way, but we'll talk about that later. For now, we meet... Oh, we're just thrown into select screen? No cutscene or anything, huh? Alright, well, time for our first Maverick then? We're going in weakness order once again, and I would literally explode otherwise because how the bosses in this game are designed. But we'll get to that. Boy, oh boy, I can't wait for the ice physics stage 1! The ice physics are weird. It's very hard to describe them. On flat surfaces, it's what you'd expect. You move and slip around, then stop. simple, straightforward. We all get it, right? But on a slanted surface, you just rocket forwards like a madman, and it's basically impossible to stop or go backwards. Luckily, that's not too big a deal for getting the collectibles, but we'll have to return later. For now, we go through it quite easily, as most of the stage doesn't really have many hazards, and we get to the end rather quickly. It's honestly quite unremarkable, but the end, instead of going straight to the boss door, we jump over this gap above it and get the leg parts. The leg parts in this game are actually pretty cool. They allow us to air dash like in the last game, but also dash upwards. And while it's not as useful as I'd like it to be, the little animation it has keeps you in place for just a moment, which can save your life much more than you'd expect. We also used them to get our first sub-tank. Now it's time to fight Blizzard Buffalo, and now I get to talk about why boss fights in this game suck ass. See, Buffalo has 3 attacks. One of them just freezes you, but the other 2 deal a million billion damage. You, however, at most, right now, do 2. This is a recurring issue with all of the bosses in X3. All of them have a very low amount of attacks, but said attacks blow you up if you even so much as graze them. And sometimes when you don't, but we'll get to that. And if you don't have their weakness, well, you get to do this for a long time. Sure, learning the moves and patterns is one thing, but the longer a boss fight goes on, the higher the chance of you making a mistake is. And if you make one, it might throw you off, leading to more, which, This is frankly awful boss design, plain and simple. Making them damage sponges while you are made of sugar glass is not fun or interesting. It just makes things take far longer and be more unfair than they actually should be. Even when I play perfectly and kill Buffalo, all I'm doing is running back and forth in this arena, and that's it. The most he can do to trip me up is shooting these ice spikes that stick to the surface it touches, which is a cool part of the fight, but sadly it doesn't elevate him above being tedious. After 2 long minutes of running back and forth in this arena, doing the same thing over and over again, we blast him. This gives us the Frost Shield. It's actually a decent weapon, as are most of them in X3, unlike the utility weapons in X2. Though, unfortunately, I fell into the bad habit of just not using them when that's the whole point of a Mega Man game. Oh well. Also, I'd like to show you this official art of X using the Frost Shield. I do not know what happened here, but X looks like he's either broken his spine or is trying to hit a homemade JoJo pose, and it is not working. Sewer level time, which starts with a familiar looking drop here. This stage I actually find quite fun, especially when you have the leg parts. Even with the sewer water pushing you around, climbing this vertical section, avoiding and attacking enemies, it all feels great and flows well. It shows that there's some brilliance hidden within X3, even if I hate it. And climbing up far enough, we get to our first heart tank. We then hop into the water for the shortest water section ever conceived before fighting the mini-boss, which really isn't that interesting as he just floats around and shoots some missiles occasionally, so moving on. We jump up another vertical section, leap over some gaps, and then the game pulls this. Oh, okay. Nice. Wow. What a dick move. Okay. I was having a good time. Thank you for taking that away, X3. This isn't even the last instance of it doing that this game, though I'd be lying if this was the worst X game for this. But that does not excuse it. And it especially stings in this instance because I ran out of lives, so it's time to run through the whole level again. Yahoo! Really, the most vile part about these spikes being here is that it is literally one screen before the boss door. I don't know who put the spikes there, but I hope you put on a pair of fresh socks and then step in a puddle of water. But okay, enough rambling. It's Seahorse in time. And, yeah, he's pretty hard. First of all, the arena is actually normal size this time instead of being the literal football field that Buffalo is in. Seahorse will also bounce around the room, forcing me to actually move, jump, and shoot effectively to beat him. You know, that thing that Mega Man is built off of? And while I did just complain about Buffalo having 3 moves and being boring, Seahorse actually has the same amount of moves but does so much more with them. You can shoot an acid ball that slowly floats upwards but bounces off of the walls, causing them to shoot little projectiles. There's also another type that bounces across the floor instead. Both of these deal 4 damage, and the small projectiles from the first one deal 2 instead. And with our boy X only having 18 health at this point in time, well, we can't really afford to make a lot of mistakes now, can we? Really, I think this is actually a fun boss despite the insane amount of damage he's dealing. Good times here, though I get fucked up a lot on these first attempts because I just refuse to use Frost Shield for some ungodly reason. It is his weakness. I cannot fathom why I didn't just use it, but it sends me to the game over screen again, so we get to run through the sewers for the 3rd time today, yay! But now that I actually use Frost Shield in this attempt, everything I just complimented Seahorse about proceeds to melt away like I am in this horrific heat wave as he succumbs to Spark Mandrill syndrome. For the uninitiated, this is something I alluded to in X1, where Spark Mandrill would just get stun locked if you use his weakness. Some bosses in Mega Man are just like this sadly, and Toxic Seahorse is no exception, being reduced to nothing but a spring for the next 21 seconds before Frost Shield turns him into an ice cube. Rip and piss, buddy. You were a real neat boss fight. With that, we get the Acid Burst, which is very similar to the Shotgun Ice in X1, though not nearly as powerful and about as slow as my upload schedule. But now, we finally get to see what Doppler is up to, and apparently he had no idea the guy that saved the world twice would be this strong. Sir, are you a scientist? But since X is so strong, he calls upon his minions. Bit and Bite sends them out to stop X, capturing him if possible. We then see Mysterious Maverick. He taunts Doppler before leaving, saying he has a score to settle. My god, who could it be? It's not like the sprite is really obvious or the border art on the Legacy Collection for X3 gives it away at all. I'll never figure it out. Doppler then says he can't believe X defeated his master twice in the past. Wait, so you do know how strong he I hope you like rocks, because this stage has a lot of them. It also has... Why is this... Anyway, you know what I like in my Mega Man game? Things that stop me dead in my tracks, forcing me to sit and wait. There's really no reason for this enemy to be here because honestly the pits next to it are enough of a hazard. Oh wait, there's a part here where he stops so you can see an upcoming mechanic. Except not really, because not only does it not show you what the mud falling down does, there's also some directly before this enemy. And to top it off, you can basically run past the falling mud before it even hits you, so there's a chance you might never know what it does before it's too late. Going through this stage really is like going through mud. It's slow, filthy, and I'd rather be anywhere else. And aside from these Indiana Jones boulders here, there's not a lot to talk about aside from me getting slowed down by the different enemies. This goes for the mini-boss too, as all it does is slam into the wall, again, and again, and again. It is fight. You see, the fun part about this is that I can only hit him in the head, so if I shoot any other part, then it doesn't count. Really, the most I can say about this stage is this part right here, just mean. It does show the like part's abilities to dash upwards is helpful, but it also shows that being unable to shoot through an enemy's projectile sucks ass, and by god, that's gonna be a problem later. But hey, I'm a focus on the here and now kind of guy. Except not really. The point is, Tunnel Rhino's fight can be a bastard without his weakness. It is very similar to Buffalo's fight, but Rhino's is much more devious. First of all, his charges knock you off the wall and prevent you from kicking off of it, which usually results in contact damage, which is, of course, way too high. Something I would also like to point out is that if you got to Rhino without dying, for some reason, his AI bugs out and he only does the charges. I did not get to experience this state for very long, however. But speaking of his charges, I'm not quite done talking about them yet because he can vent them, which is truly evil, but it does make this more interesting to an extent. Once again, shooting Rhino with his weakness does unlock him, though to a much lesser degree than Seahorse. With that being said, Rhino doesn't get to do as much. He doesn't even get to show off his other moves. But beating Rhino gives us Tornado Fang, which is one of the weapons in X3. Oh, we had a time with this stage. First of all, not even getting that far, I paused and then accidentally called 0. This is a problem because an achievement down the line requires him to be alive, and if you die as him, he's out for the rest of the game, which is a risk I wasn't willing to take, so I reset. Now, you and the audience who are more familiar with X3 might be wondering why I didn't just go back over to the normal menu. Well, funny thing about that, so I like to have my dash on my shoulder buttons, which is much more comfortable and doesn't contort my thumb in weird positions by having it in the default default position of circle. However, by changing it in X3, it rebinds what the button is rather than just its function. Now granted, in X1 and 2 it did this as well, but there I only had to use circle to switch weapons. It did not affect the pause menu like it does here, so I tried to close the menu and then butt dial 0 by accident. This took me ages to realize, and there are many different moments where I had to reset because I butt dialed 0 and I didn't know how to undo it. But restarting this time, we head down this shaft near the start and enter into this bonus stage. Ooh. And okay, seriously, why are there so many screens in the game shaped like this? Could you guys not think of a better way to extend the level's length in any meaningful way? You just had to do zigzags? Anyways, this area is quite short, but luckily it's got some great music. Sadly, we don't get to listen to it for very long before we find Vile. Damn, I can't believe he's back. He's once again got his ride armor, and it's not really as threatening this time because it's totally pathetic. I really like charging bosses in this game, huh? But we destroy Vile's ride armor, which finally gives us our first achievement, Fight Fair. Yeah, it took me until the 7th page of the script to mention our first achievement. Now, as for fighting Vile Mark II, he only has 2 moves, and one you need to watch out for is this flame pillar he creates as he jumps. Aside from that, he's really not that bad. After a bit of jumping and shooting, we beat Vile, and since I didn't use his weakness because I didn't even have it, you also get the achievement Persistence Isn't Everything. However, since we didn't use Vile's weakness, he gets away. And I'd like you to remember this because it's going to come back in a big way later. But since Vile lost and he's a sore loser, he sets the stage to self-destruct. And my god, I cut it close with this one. Oh, the lag, the slowdown. That's gonna kill me. God damn, son. 2 seconds left. Holy shit. Oh, holy shit. Okay, now we get to Vault Catfish's stage. I kinda got catfished by Vile for a while there. Anyways, I'm not a big fan of this stage either. It has a really bad habit of placing enemies in awkward places, so you either have to constantly jump at them, or, because this game makes the X-Buster near goddamn worthless, just run past everything, which can be much more difficult during sections with elevators since they really like angling the enemies just to hit you. Oh, and look out for those spikes! God damn it. God damn it. They put an enemy right on the platform that shoots in a diagonal pattern that will knock you off of the platform, and then they put spikes right above it. Like, what? Why? Why is this stage like this? Why was fighting Vile easier than doing this stage? I don't understand. But hey, at least we got this stage's heart tank. Though with that being said, once we finally get to the second half, we get to see my favorite part of the stage. Enemies placed in areas that the player is probably going to land onto. It's great design when you can't see what's coming. It's great! But getting past that, we also get past these sparks on the wall, and we finally get to Vault Catfish. He has 4 attacks, but since we have Tornado Fang, he can get looped for a while, making him jump over you, shoot an energy ball, and repeat. Luckily, unlike Seahorse, Catfish actually fights back and uses his other moves. And something I do also appreciate about his weakness is that it destroys his projectiles. It's nice to actually have the weakness do more than just stun lock or damage the boss. Though speaking of, this is where I learned Tornado Fang fucking sucks. It's a slow projectile that stays in place for about a second before accelerating forward, and it does not feel good to use at all. If it wasn't Catfish's weakness, I wouldn't even be talking about it, so there you go, Tornado Fang. Now get back in the trash. For our hard work, we get the best weapon in the game, Triad Thunder. Absurdly strong, high ammo count, never use it within a single stage like a dumbass, A-tier weapon. Didn't we just fight a fish enemy? Well, at least the music in this stage is really good. It's pretty much a straight shot to... Okay. And just, no, I guess we're going down. Alright. Damn, that was a really heavy Maverick. Well, so far, the stage doesn't seem so... Wait. What's that music? Oh no. So, remember in Blizzard Buffalo's section where I mentioned how bosses can take forever without their weaknesses? Bit is here to show you why I wrote that. He's only got 3 attacks, but all of them are dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. First is the rings he throws out, which freeze you in place for a few seconds if you touch them, pretty much guaranteeing you will take damage. Second is his charge, which completely protects him from the front, and there's a homing shot, which also follows you around, dealing a whopping 4 damage per hit. To top it off, it doesn't go away if it hits you, so it's possible to get hit multiple times. And my favorite part about this is that Bit will take a whole 2 damage from a charged X-Buster shot. Very cool, X3 team. Very cool. Remember when it dealt 3 damage in X1? I missed that. Now you might be wondering why I'm bringing so much attention to Bit when I literally have both of his weaknesses, but that's where the problem lies. If we want all the X3 achievements, we have to defeat him without using his weakness. So Frost Shield and Triad Thunder are staying benched for now, meaning we have to deal with this pitiful amount of damage and deal with all of this. But honestly, once I got the pattern down, Bit was rather simple. When he jumps, you jump as well to match his height, forcing him into a charge and letting you shoot him in the back. You'd even do this in such a way that the rings will collide with you, but still make Bit miss. As for the hoeing shots, pray, I guess. I couldn't figure out those. But with this strategy, we were finally able to beat Bit with a singular health point remaining. Oh! Holy shit! This gives us the achievement Speed Isn't Everything. Yeah, I did it, boys, we did it. Oh shit. Okay, well, we just need to beat Bite like that, and then we've done the thing. Alright. But despite having 1 health, the game has a random act of mercy and gives me some health. And after going into the same shaped room again, we hop onto a submarine before blowing up a Maverick and heading inside. I will say, even if this level is basically a corridor, I do really like the progression from dock to submarine bay to being inside the submarine. It's really nice. Sadly, the submarine does not remain in a nice state as we destroy the reactor, causing it to rotate on its side. Climb up to the last part of the level and, 5 health? Yeah, I'm sure this will go great. Never mind. Oh hey, that's a game over. Time to run the stage back. Luckily we don't have to fight Bit again, he's retreated forever. But fighting Crawfish again, he might be the second most bullshit boss of the base Mavericks. He has a grab which locks you in place and will continue to deal damage until you struggle out of it. But then when you do, your invincibility lasts for such a short time, you will take contact damage from him, which usually results in a nice cool 6 damage. To add on to that, Crawfish's claws can be shot out. Just look at this hitbox, look at it. It's the size of fucking Zimbabwe. And finally, he does get knocked back from his weakness, but he recovers far quicker than his invincibility lasts, which I would usually appreciate if this fight wasn't awful. Why the fuck did they give a boss in this series a command grab? What the fuck were they thinking? Jesus, you guys already know I hate that shit. You know I hate grabs in action games, and this is not fun. I'm sure if I was better with Triad Thunder, I might have been able to do this now, but instead I just said fuck this and ran over to Buffalo Stage to grab its heart tank, before I then proceed to make a horrible mistake. So, I decide to go to Neon Tiger Stage to get X's arm parts above all else. And I'm saying it right now, this is a bad idea, though that won't be obvious until later. As for the level, we get another sub-tank here, followed by a jump that I just could not make for the life of me. Oh shit. Oh boy, it's gonna be one of those stages, huh? Alright, cool. Oh god damn it, X. Jump! You gotta jump! You can't just dash, like it's not gonna work. How are you gonna fight Sigma if you can't even jump? But getting past it, eventually, we get to this corridor, which have these stupid ass enemies again. They serve zero purpose here aside from slowing you down. But after that, we bust open this wall here with Tornado Fang and use the leg parts to finally get the arm parts. And let me tell you, the first 2 games had amazing charge shots with their arm parts. X3's? Not so much. How it works here is that at full charge you can shoot once, and then a second time, and you can merge the 2 shots into the cross-charge shot. It certainly is a choice. I think it's supposed to act like a light screen nuke, but does so little damage that I just stick to using it normally. Oh, and also it lets you climb ladders faster. Wow, don't know why that's a feature, but thanks, Dr. Light. But heading back, we fight this stage's mini-boss, which has the extremely fun and not annoying mechanic of being only able to damage it with headshots. And really, having it move in and out of the ground and ceiling at any time, because it can, just makes it so much better. I'm having fun. This is fun. Oh, do we really need this many bosses in this game to be only damaged from one area? Is this really necessary? Well, enough about that. Remember when I said enemies blocking your shots would come up again later? Well, later is now, because look at this. This enemy spike ball stopped my charge shots because it's too big to hit it. Amazing enemy design, guys, here. Just really 10 out of 10 stuff. I sure hope the next few screens don't have the... Oh, cool charge shot, man. Really, really helpful. I'm sorry. I'm just truly amazed at how fucking weird this game is. I don't know. Trust me. I've played worse in this series. Don't worry. When we get to X7, you're going to understand pain. Getting past the red armor, we pass through the boss room. Bite isn't ready to take his revenge yet, thank God, and we go through another one of X3's passages, almost dropping me onto spikes. Luckily, these spikes are made by the following enemy here, which are not fatal. So really, if you hit these spikes, it's like the level designers pulling a prank on you. I'd be laughing if my ribs weren't broken from the Mavericks. This section seems pretty short, which leads us to the boss door, though before I enter it, we hop up here and grab the stage's heart tank. And now we fight the worst goddamn thing ever created with binary, Neon Tiger. His fight can go one of two ways. Either you use his weakness spinning blade and stun lock him forever, or you have to deal with what I had to and fight him with just the X-Buster. This sucks ass because unless Neon Tiger is moving or doing an attack, he will block your shots. And with the way I play, where I'm much more defensive and I wait for my chance to attack, this completely fucks me up. I loathe this move with all of my being. It felt like every single time I tried to do anything, Neon Tiger just blocks it like the little shit he is. Granted, this entire rant is skill issue, and I accept that. But also, Neon Tiger moves really slowly and these range attacks are just pathetic, doing only 2 damage, and then he just does this? Yep, this is a boss fight. What's funny to me is that he does have 2 attacks that use his claws, which do 8 fucking damage, which he almost hit me with here, but since his body collided first, I took contact damage instead. He's like a really shitty version of Flame Stag, or hell, even Neo Sigma. Man, I miss Neo Sigma. And for making me suffer, I'm landing him in the Book of Vengeance. Congrats, you little shit. With that, we acquire the Ray Splasher. It's effectively a machine gun with a very break spray angle. It's alright and can be a good alternative to the X-Buster, but with this level done, we take the arm parts and gather a few of the items we missed. We head over to Rhino's stage and use the charge version of Tried Thunder to punch the ground, causing this boulder with a rope around it to fall. Ah yes, perfect cause and effect. I'll keep this lesson in mind when I need to get some water from the sink. This gets us the heart tank, and later the head parts, which are something. I think they're alright, as on the stage select they show you what items you missed, and when you enter a stage it shows a map of the area, indicate where said items are. Though this part is unskippable and the map isn't exactly the best, I just assumed the one square was about one screen and that was close enough. But with that, we attempt to blast Hornet stage. However... Oh Jesus, he's got a magnet. Why am I fighting Tagger from Blaze Blue? Don't want to fight Tagger and Blaze Blue in my Mega Man game. Why is this happening? Bite's here and he wants to shove X into a coffin because oh my god, the damage. So because of that, and the checkpoint forcing me to do a huge amount of the level again, which included this unskippable cutscene, the frustration built up and I chose a completely different level. I did at least take the time to grab the Chimera Ride armor here, and having this, we can now summon it to these platforms we've been seeing in the other stages. It even has its own item we can get, but since this late into the run, I don't get a whole lot of use out of it. Oh well. Now this stage seems much more reasonable, especially because after this short warehouse section we run into Bite again. No unskippable cutscenes this time, thank god. And now I get to talk about how each time I get hit by this behemoth it drains my sanity. Bite has 2 attacks, a mine that pulls you towards it, and a charge attack that has a lot of follow-ups, like a lot, and it deals a total of 8 goddamn damage. And in keeping with X3's design philosophy of why make many attack when few attack do trick, this sucks. Except when we figure out what to do, which is using the leg parts to dash upwards as Bite charges. This turns Bite into the same boss we fought 3 times already. I love charging boss fights. Keep it up, X3.
Really breaking new ground here.
But we beat him without his weakness, earning us the achievement, Power Isn't Everything. It isn't, but this game thinks it is. I'm in physical pain. But after that, we climb up here, and after a bit of struggling, we get this, which is the frog form of the Chimera Ride Armor. Shortly after, I die because nothing wanted to drop health. Put a pin in that, it'll be relevant again. But then we do this elevator segment, Sans Elevator. Really, most of the stage is just climbing up from this point, and it's not really noteworthy. The only part I'll point out here is this, which makes you go back and forth just to pad out the level just that tiny bit more. But we finally get to Gravity Beetle, and... oh, okay then. Running it back, Gravity Beetle is a pain in the ass, which really shouldn't be that surprising at this point. His shots slowly bounce around and expand, which wouldn't be too big a deal, were it not for the fact that the larger the shot is, the more damage it deals, which should be expected at this point, but suddenly taking 8 damage from a projectile still sucks just as much as the first time. What also doesn't help is Beetle occasionally making a ball that covers the whole screen, sucking in rocks that deal damage, but of course, the ball also deals damage. And it's 8 damage because, for a fucking course it is. Why would it be? Oh, and he's also got a charge move because, of course, really at this point, he might as well be a fucking matador because of all the bullfighting I'm doing in this game. Now, look, I know I'm making all this fuss and stunlocking Beetle with his weakness like I always have for every Maverick, but I hope I get my point across for these bosses that having a shit ton of damage does not make them fun. The fact that all of them are like this sucks. None of the main Mavericks or side bosses in X1 or 2, with the exception of Violin, deal this much damage. Sigma does, but he's a final boss, so you kind of expect him to do something like that, because the punishment for failing to learn how an attack works is so high with all of these bosses, I can't learn how they work, which turns into frustration, since it feels like this game is cheating, especially with the lack of damage I deal, even with weaknesses. I hope this rank got my point across. Now, with Gravity Beetle defeated, we finally get the Gravity Well, and it doesn't look like it, but it's actually a screen nuke weapon. Very beautiful, very powerful. With it, we jump back to Catfish's stage and finally get the body parts, giving us the achievement 3rd armor for completing it. And thank you, Dr. Light, for making them actually half the damage I take this time. I really needed that. It also creates a barrier around X, reducing the damage even further for a short time, which the idea kind of screws me over later, but we'll get to that. We also use the ride armor to go over to our final sub-tank of the game. Okay, now on to the next stage. We're back, this time with a vengeance. Last Hornet stage starts with a quite short but exceptionally slow elevator segment. Luckily the leg parts speed it up just a bit, and after running through some conveyor belts we fight a mini-boss already. And it's Mode 7, baby! Oh, it's already dead. Shame. After that we run outside, jump over some hangars, but since I already got the Chimera Ride Armor we don't have to go into them. Also, since we beat Gravity Beetle's stage, the second mini-boss doesn't show up here. You know, the one with the unskippable cutscene? It's gone! Yeah! This is also one of those instances of beating the boss in one stage affecting another. The other 2 instances are being both Catfish making lamps on Blizzard Buffalo stage turn on, which makes some ice go away. It's something. The other one is actually Blast Hornet, and after this we can go get the Heart Tank on Gravity Beetle stage, so we'll do that after I use the giant fly swatter on him. But enough filibustering. That's for the level designers to do with this goddamn crazy straw-looking pattern they love to use so much. It really proves to me how important good level variety is for platformers, not just good design. And when I can copy-paste parts of other levels on top of each other and it looks like this, well, I'm not saying it's lazy, but I am implying it in a passive-aggressive tone. And speaking of things that repeat, here's 3 stacks of boxes in a row that just slow you down and then damage you if you don't move instantly, because haha. At least we're finally here to fight Blast Hornet. He is tricky since he has the spread of B-bombs that stick to a surface before exploding. Unfortunately for X, he also counts as a surface. I'd also like to mention that Blast Hornet has an attack with 8 damage, because of course he does. But after a death, I bust out Gravity Well, which I totally didn't forget about. And that's that. This gives us the Parasite Bomb, a silly little weapon that causes enemies to crash into each other when it's 6 to 1. Do I have any footage of this? Yeah, I figured. Alright, well, we finally do some quick item cleanup before finally cooking Crawfish for real this time. This gives us our final weapon, the Spitting Blade. which I swear to God are just weaponized Beyblades. With all the Mavericks defeated, Dr. Kane shows up and tells us he found Doppler's hideout. That's great, Kane, but can it be more dramatic? Thank you. Dr. Kane also mentions that Doppler was making a battle body to fight us, but he wouldn't be able to use it. X and Zero instantly suspected Sigma because I guess they were aware that he's always going to come back. But speaking of things coming back, the items. We head out and collect everything we missed, which is mostly the Chimera's different forms, because honestly, I got it so late into the run I missed out on most of them. But collecting the last of them, we get the achievement, All Units Stand By. The more astute of you might have noticed on the map that there's also some items labeled as a question mark. These are the chip items, which can be used to enhance one part of the third armor. You can select only one, however, but we won't be getting those for a moment because we'll be finding something else first. And I know just the mad scientist that has what I want. Time to invade We Have Wily at Home's base. The first part of this stage really isn't interesting. They just keep placing the same enemy directly in your way several times in a row, and of course they have enough health to survive a charge shot, because why wouldn't they? But after getting through some crushers, or not, soon get to the mini-boss of the stage, Rex 2000. The arena has a spiked ceiling able to stand and crush us, but since Zero's alive, he's going to stop it. Which is helpful, but Rex here is made out of paper, so we move on, but thanks regardless, Zero. He also tells us that all the enemies have been turned into war machines by Doppler. Oh no! Kinda already knew that, but thanks for the info. But going through this section, which is full of leaps of faith in the enemies, by the way, we slide down here and find... Oh wait, hold on a second, I need full health, 1 sec. Okay, run it back, getting here with full health, we find the Hyper Chip, giving us the achievement, Always Believe in Your Soul. The Hyper Chip is amazing as it gives us the effect of all the other chips in one. Now we can air dash twice, have a better shield that reduces damage even further, instantly get charge shots, and slowly regenerate energy while standing still. Despite all the shit I've been talking about to X3, this does make the game extremely fun at the end. Which is why we have to ditch it. In an unfortunate twist of fate, to get one of the achievements, we must beat the final boss without the Hyper Chip, which is something I decided to do halfway through stage 2 instead of having fun. This may have been a bad idea that resulted in souring the last level, but again, we'll get to that. This led me to deciding which of the 4 chips I would want, and there was only 2 in my mind, honestly. The body chip or the leg chip. But with X3 constantly beating the shit out of me during its runtime, it drilled a certain feeling into me. So, in a Pavlovian response, I chose the body tip for the increased defense. Back to the first Doppler stage and catching up to where we left off, there's not much left. Though the game just loves to stall us that little bit more with these stupid pillar enemies again. But we get to the end, and guess who's back? Bit and Bite. And with Doppler's modifications, they fused into God Karma Machine Oinari. Yeah, that's his full name, by the way. And oh boy, you thought the damage was high before? Watch this. Thank God for the body parts, because that would have been a nice, cool 18 damage off of that. Instead, it's only 9. Oh, hold on. The barrier activated after the second hit, so that reduced the third hit to 1 damage. So it's just 7. I should have taken the leg chip. Luckily, it's not that bad. Well, no, okay, it's pretty bad because of the damage. But by leading the grab to this corner here, you can dodge it and get some damage in. Oh, Inari also has this sword move that sends out a shockwave, which is quite easy to dodge by dashing either over or under it before it hits the wall and splits. Really, my only complaint about this fight, aside from the ludicrous damage numbers, is that I wish the sword attack had some more wind-up frames, and I wish the X-Buster did more than 3 damage at full charge. Come on! Bobby blasts him with the Ray Splasher, negating all of our negative karma for this video. I think that's how Karma Machine works. Oh boy, I hope you like that crazy straw design I mentioned, because this level loves to use it. And of course, they put a bunch of enemies directly in hard to reach areas. But once again, I am internally screaming as past me refuses to use Gravity Well, which would have been immensely helpful. But we still get through it and get to use the Chimera for a while before having to ditch it after like 19 seconds. I checked. And here is where we come to why this run is going to be true pain. See, this room with the colorful floor would have a mini-boss in it if we killed Vile, and by having Zero fight it, it would result in us getting his Beam Saber, and also getting us an achievement. And the Beam Saber is the best weapon in the game. And not only would this have helped for the rest of the levels, it would have allowed us to still get the achievement for beating the game without the hyper chip. Yet, as the fates willed it, I was both hyper chipless and beam saberless for this run. And if you know anything about X3, and especially if you know about the final boss, you know this is going to be a nightmare. But enough being dramatic, we still have a stage to get through. Really, the second half here is similar to the first, down to the enemies and how they're placed. Except right here where someone had a divine vision of the future, and that future was getting over it. This vertical section, complete with spikes on the walls, can only be climbed by shooting these snail enemies' shells off. You then jump on the platforms they make and proceed to climb up very slowly. Of course, if you fall off at any point, you get to start all over again. And in classic me fashion, this happens on the last possible jump. No, no, no! I hate this game. I want to rip off my toenails. I can see the vision. Unfortunately, whoever's vision it is, I think they're legally blind. You guys read any good books lately? You have, just, comment them, do stuff like that, like and subscribe. Oh, thank God we're finally here. Getting to the top for real this time, we finally fight Vile. Again, for the second time. He hypes up his cool new ride armor, the Goliath, but guess what? No, really, I want you to guess. Do you think this is going to be another charge boss? Yep, it's another charge boss. Come on, Vile, get a better dealer. There's gotta be a better arms manufacturer in the city. Now, granted, the Goliath does have 2 more moves, one of which does 16 damage? Jesus Christ. But if you play like I do, which is just jumping back and forth and then running to the other side of the room, he just charges repeatedly. But we blow up the Goliath and fight Vile on foot again. Similar to his first fight, but now he has a few new moves. One is a shot that stuns you if it hits, which can leave you vulnerable to his grab. Honestly, he's pretty much as difficult as he was before, with the grab is the only thing being a new threat. Oh, and he's still weak to Ray Splasher, by the way. And after changing Vile's OS to Windows Vista, he says he's going to haunt us until we die and then explodes. I guess Reploids have souls, which they actually do considering what happens in Extreme 2 and X6, though I'm not really equipped to talk about the philosophical and spiritual ramifications of that, so let's go back to the shooty bang game. Boss rush time. You know the deal, so let's do this quickly. Bang, pow. That'll show him. We run through like 3 to 4 screens of what's basically a corridor before we finally get to our mad scientist. He offers X the chance to join him, but we all know that's not going to happen.
No thanks, bro.
So Doppler rips off his lab coat and proceeds to beat the shit out of us with his bare hands. Well, okay, it's not quite like that, but the idea of a mad scientist character just saying fuck it and throwing hands is very funny to me. Doppler's unique because he has a special move called Tosh, which has him summon several waves of Just kidding, it's another charge move. He of course has a projectile, but the most important thing is that he has a barrier which lets him absorb damage and heal himself. But even with this, he's extremely easy, especially compared to everything we've gone through. Once he's defeated, Doppler reveals that Sigma's true form is a computer virus, which, we may have already seen that, but coming to his senses and filled with regret, Doppler begs X to stop Sigma from causing any more havoc, revealing the location he built Sigma's new battle body. With a nice
"Thanks, Doc,"
we leave Doppler and prepare for the worst. It's maximum pain time. This stage is just a corridor and a ladder, but right before we fight Sigma, Zero comes in to say he's going to destroy the generators. Thanks, man. I'm just gonna go throw myself into these spikes real quick. Have fun! We go and meet Sigma, and he declares that the eternal struggle will commence. And he is not fucking around with that statement. Yeah, fuck this fight, no debate. Without the aid of the hyperchip or the beam saber, this entire fight becomes agony in its purest form. I am quite sure if the Hellraiser puzzle box was within my room, the Cenobites wouldn't need to do anything to me while I was dealing with Sigma. So let's explain why. First of all, Sigma has a shield, because Neon Tiger's fight was already annoying, so let's make it worse. Second, aside from this attack where he jumps and shoots towards you, every single attack does 8 damage. Now, with it being half, that's only 4, and since I brought the body chip, that should reduce the damage further, right? No, it doesn't! Because the shield lasts for such a short amount of time, it didn't do anything. The regret within this fight over taking the body ship was immense. In a nutshell, Sigma's fight is simple, but since the damage he deals is this, and the damage I deal is this, it's a bit of a problem now, isn't it? This is one of his weaknesses, by the way. But after an extremely long time of jumping and shooting him in the back, over and over and over again, we beat him, and there he is. The hash slinging, the bash pinging, the run killing slasher, Kaiser Sigma. Every single attack still does 4 damage, but now with the added bonus of not being able to see it coming from him because it just pops into existence. Oh, and they're all homing attacks because why not? Oh, by the way, Sigma is only weak to the X-Buster's charge shots now. This wouldn't be a problem except, well, just watch. See that? You can only hit Sigma in the head now, and the hitbox is about the size of an atom, and each shot does anywhere from 1 to 3 damage. Oh, for fuck's sake. See, the fun part about this is knowing that if I had the beam saber, Sigma would be reduced to scrap on the floor of my Grampy's workshop. Instead, I get to deal with the Death March Congo with all my alternate selves until one of us kills him. And something to be noted is that I use a lot of my sub-tanks here, like basically all of them until they were empty, resulting in me not having them filled. And since I didn't want to go to another stage, I just used Tri-Thunder to kill the enemies at the start. And something I would like to add is that if you kill enemies with the Frost Shield, it makes them drop health every single time. And I really wish I knew this because there is a lot of footage of me just fucking around in this corridor here, just trying to get what I need, and it took forever. It was bad. This whole experience was awful. I hate this fight. I despise this fight. This part is not scripted. I am just really fucking angry with this fight. It is ridiculously hard in this game that's already hard. And they decided, yes, this is the good idea. Let's give him a shit ton of damage, a shit ton of health. You do like 2 damage. And if you don't have the secret weapon that you probably won't if you're trying to do very specific things, you just get fucked. Like, it's just bad. It's just so bad. But after far too long, we actually bring him down. But it's not over. God forbid there's solace in my pitiful existence within this game. The Sigma virus pops out and makes the base self-destruct. Or maybe that was Zero's doing, I'm not really sure. Either way, we have to leave while the Sigma virus tries to kill us. Almost does, actually. We hit a dead end. But just as Sigma's about to possess X, our fucking boy shows up and blasts him with an anti-Sigma virus program he had on his beam saber. Wait, you can do that? This makes Sigma explode, but not before he vows to return again one day. Don't worry, Sigma, I know you will. And I'll be there. This finally gives us the achievement. It's over, right? And the extreme danger achievement. With that, the base explodes, X and Zero sit on the cliff, and X once again ponders why people must fight, which we've already done before X. God, even this M feels like the first game. What's the point? In this case, it's to get the achievement to save mankind for beating the game. But sadly, we are not done yet. To get the final achievement for X3, I would have to go through the game once more. This time, killing Vile and having Zero get decimated by a giant bug. So, I steeled myself, took a breath, and played through X4 instead because fuck X3. I did come back and I tried. Lord knows I tried. I even got through Neon Tiger and I just reached my limit. I could not deal with X3 anymore. So, I cheated. I put in the password, ran through the Doppler stages, got to where Zero needed to remember what he did in X1, explode, and with his sacrifice, we get his beam saber and our final achievement. I wanted you to have this. You know, part of me feels like I've been far too harsh on X3, but the tiny issues that kept popping up one after the other, it amounted to me genuinely not having a good time. Hell, I even tried playing through this again while writing the script thinking I was in a bad mindset while recording it, but no, not really. I do not like X3. And I suppose the X series didn't either, because the events of this game are never mentioned again going forward. X-Dive does not count. It also leads to me making this meme, so I suppose it's something, right? X3 is not the worst Mega Man game. Hell, it's not even the worst Mega Man X game, but I do not see myself returning to it anytime soon. Oh, by the way, the Kingdom Hearts video is next.